Welcome to the party, pal. Your friendly neighborhood master chaos, back with you once again. I hope this video has found you well wherever you are in the world, in whatever quiet place you have found for yourself. Thank you so much for coming back and joining me, spending some time with me. It always means the world to me. This is part 8. Ocho. Wheat? No, yeah, wheat, I think is how you say 8 in French. Wheat. Because 9 is 9. Anyway, beside the point, we're talking all the haunts be ours. All the haunts? Yeah, all the haunts. You think I would know the title by now. Fucking 8. 8 episodes. Disc 8. Holy shit. We've left Australia. We're heading to Poland, I believe. Yes, we're going all the way to Poland for a couple of were-monster films. But temper your expectations. This isn't your typical werewolf lycanthrope double feature. As a matter of fact, it's the farthest thing from it, and that's a good thing and a bad thing, and I'll get into it. There's one movie here that I think is darn near masterpiece. Another movie on here that should probably be thrown in a fire. Pick a fire, throw it in.
Back from the dead.
Maybe that's a little harsh. I'll take it back. Maybe not a fire. Maybe just ignored completely. But I'll get to that movie in a moment. Let's start off with WILCZYCA. WILCZYCA. This movie right here, which is also known as She-Wolf. First and foremost, let me mention the restoration looks amazing. For a second there, I thought this was a new movie, but it is not. This is the cleanest I've seen an older film looking from Severin. Here we have the typical Dracula story retold with a lycanthropic bent. Casper, our hero, returns home to find his wife dying from childbirth, from a pregnancy that he could not have been responsible for. As she lays dying, he discovers that she's been dabbling in black magic, and the town fears for her soul. When the poor woman dies, a wooden stake is driven through her heart, and she's buried in the icy ground with hopes that she'll rest in peace forever. Casper, now a widow, heads back to his job as a bodyguard attendant to a local lord, only to find out that the spirit of his wife may have followed him home in the form of a she-wolf. There's a lot to unpack in terms of the plot here, because it's equal parts Dr. Zhivago and The Howling, but definitely more Dr. Zhivago. So again, here's a movie, just like last episode's film Celia, where you have to temper your expectations. If you're going in expecting a werewolf movie, you're not going to get it whatsoever. This is not a werewolf movie, number one. It's barely a horror movie. Barely a horror movie. It's definitely more of a horror movie than our second feature we'll be talking about today. But it's definitely more of a Dr. Zhivago type of movie. You know, if you've seen War and Peace, it's definitely more the peace parts of that movie and that book specifically than it is the action stuff. There is a lot of character stuff, but it's definitely, it almost feels like all the boring parts in Hammer horror movies smashed together with all the cool stuff kind of cut out. That doesn't mean that this is a bad movie. Do keep this in mind. I think this is a pretty decent movie, but it's not a full-bore, full-throated, full-throttle horror movie. The good news is, it's a creepy, atmospheric film, but it's a little too long for its own good, and it plays more like a costumed historical drama than a horror movie. I did find the movie engaging and interesting. It is also pretty slow, and I can see it being a movie that loses a lot of the audience. I will say a little too much of the political plotting gets in the way of what could have been an American Werewolf in Poland, but as it is, it's a very unique horror film in the annals of werewolf cinema, and I do say that lightly. I will say there are 0 werewolves in this movie, at least not in the way you expect them to appear. It's an interesting film, not one that I would have searched out on my own, but that's why I like box sets like this, because they allow me to discover films from all over the world that I never would have even discovered on my own or known they existed. I would 100% confirm to you that half of the movies in here are new to me, probably more than half, honestly. Certainly WILCZYCA, and I know I'm butchering that, and I apologize if anybody is of Polish origin and they know how to pronounce it. Let me know. I'm curious. Either way, I'll just call it She-Wolf for now. Pretty decent movie. It is a little too long for what it delivers, but I liked it overall. I think the main character who plays, the actor who plays Casper is really good, and it's unique enough to keep your interest. I'm going to give it 3 stars overall. I really enjoyed the film. I don't know that I'd ever rewatch it. To be honest, there's not a lot I would rewatch on this box set. Eyes of Fire. Well, towards the end of the entire series, I'll talk about my top 5 in the entire box set. That might be hard to pin down, but you never know. I don't know that this will end up in my top 5, but I did enjoy the film. I think it is worth a watch. It's very unique, especially if you like lycanthropic cinema. That being said, our next film is not one you should watch for any reason. Before we get to the next movie, let's talk about the features for WILCZYCA, or She-Wolf. You get an interview with the director, Marek Pystrak. It runs about 10 minutes, and yes, it is subtitled. Next up, and least on this disc, is Lokis, a manuscript of Professor Wittenbach. This is 100%, right off the bat, a huge bummer of a movie. Beautiful looking, but I've never seen a movie deliver so little. Well, maybe Gosford Parks. This is a movie that could have been really interesting and unique, but it just decides to focus on the wrong things, and that is a failing of course, the script. Ironically, a movie about a manuscript, which honestly isn't even about a manuscript. It focuses very little on any kind of manuscript. Yeah, that's weird. Basically, this sucks. Lokis, a manuscript of Professor Wittenbach, runs 1 hour and 39 minutes, way too long. By the way, Lokis means bear. Keep that in mind. This is another restoration that looks fantastic, almost good as new. And here we have a film that's very similar to She-Wolf, but in this case, we're dealing with a bear. Let me stop myself right there. Don't get your hopes up, pal. No, you don't see a man turn into a bear. You don't. As a matter of fact, the concept of a bear doesn't even play into the plot whatsoever until, not kidding, the last minute of the movie.
What? No.
Yeah. It's not about werebears, but they say it's about werebears. Not about werebears. What is it about, though? Not much. This movie isn't really even a horror movie until way past the hour mark, and honestly, I'd be straining credibility to define it as such. This is not a thrilling or suspenseful film because it decides to focus on the quiet life in the countryside, and for me, coming in expecting a fucking folk horror movie, I found it really hard to engage with the film despite the excellent direction. Even when the movie does pick up plot-wise slightly, don't expect the movie to get exciting. It just gets slightly more interesting, but continues to be a slow chamber drama, much to its detriment. Plot-wise, we have a young priest named Professor Wittenbach who heads to an out-of-the-way country manor to translate some rare books. Not necessarily the most exciting start, but it's a start that could lead to something. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Here he befriends a young lovelorn lord, and they play cards, walk around, talk, have something to eat, walk around some more, and do nothing else. I'm not kidding when I say nothing happens in this movie until the last 7 minutes. And even then, nothing is implicitly stated one way or the other when it comes to the fantastical underpinnings. I was bored to tears by this movie. Despite its beautiful pastoral setting, this was just a dull costume drama and nothing else. Special features wise, let's get that out of the way. You get an interview with the director, Janusz Majewski, runs about 14 minutes, and yes, it is subtitled. Silly me! I mean, it is a folk horror box set, so maybe I shouldn't have expected a horror movie. I don't know. There is no horror in this. There is somewhat of a bloody development towards the end. I'm not going to spoil it here for you. And then we get a hint that one of the characters may have been a werebear. What the fuck? I mean, there's a family legend, but it's honestly so fucking strange and so out of left field that it makes no sense. It plays no way into the plot. There's no impact felt from that weird little story. Oh, by the way, he might be a werebear. It's like you're watching Die Hard and somebody mentions, oh, did you know John McClane might also be a weregoose? Oh, really? Weird. Okay, let's get back to this thing. Strange. Strange movie and ultimately unsatisfying. Again, similar to something like Celia. If Lokis, let's say, was in a Criterion box set of like Polish costume dramas or something, it probably would rate higher. But because I was expecting a horror movie and it failed in that regard for me, my opinion, it gets 0 stars. 0 stars for me. Locus is the number one biggest bummer in this box set. If you're wondering whether you should skip it or not, skip it. You don't need to watch it. I don't think you'll gain anything from it. Certainly not any kind of joy or entertainment.
You're goddamn right.
Discgate was a weird one. Discgate was a rough one. You know, they were able to put 2 lycanthropic were creature movies together, but we got a couple of really mixed bags. We got one really good movie that doesn't, really deliver a punch, till the ending, and then we got one really bad movie that barely delivers any kind of a punch. They're both very long, too. They feel very long, and if you like costume dramas, you'll be fine. But if you go in expecting, a Hammer horror movie, for example, you're not going to get that. You're barely going to get that with those movies, which is unfortunate. Okay, let's call it a day. This is part 8. Stay tuned for part 9. Remember, we've got 12 of these coming. So at least 9, 10, 11, 12. 4 more. Jesus Christ, 4 more discs. I think one of them is a single, which I'll combo with something else. I'll see what I'll do with that one. Actually, the next one I think is a single. We'll figure it out. Stay tuned for part 9. I hope you'll come back. I hope you subscribe if you have not already. My friend, I love you, and I love sharing this time with you. Let's do it again. The easiest way for you to do that, it's free. Subscribe and give me a thumbs up on your way out the door. This has been your Friendly Neighborhood Mastercast. I love you very much. Take care of yourself. This is a crazy world. Let's hold each other tight and wish each other the best. I wish you the best always, wherever you are in the world, because I love you. I love you just the way you are. Signing off for now.